So back in the year of 2020, there was a creator by the name of Tony Lopez on TikTok who turned out to not be a great person. The situation I'm going to be discussing happened all the way back in 2021, but it was also swept under the rug for some matter of years because not a lot of people reported on it or not a lot of commentators made videos on it. The only video I was able to find was by Underflow. A few other creators did make videos, but not having the entire list of information besides one other creator who I'll put the name of on screen. I'd also like to note that all TikTokers who made notes about this event happening, I couldn't find any of their TikToks currently at the moment. Maybe I didn't do a good enough job researching, but to my knowledge, I can't find them up on TikTok. But anyway, the story about Tony Lopez is going to take a wild and wacky ride, as they are the predator that got away, allegedly. Keep in mind, I am forced to say that because there are no legal documents at this time. Also hit that sub button because it's free. But anyway, I'm going to get into the story of Tony Lopez, and this begins in 2019 when the Hype House was created. Now, if you don't know what the Hype House is, how can I blame you? Because a lot of people forgot about it because it was basically this irrelevant house full of a lot of TikTokers who happen to be popular, who just happen to live in a house together. There's literally no other point in it. It's basically just a streamer house. The Hype House housed a lot of creators such as Charli D'Amelio and Dixie D'Amelio, and the Lopez brothers, Tony and Andreas Lopez. More on Andreas Lopez in a second, he actually becomes a big part of this story as well. The reason the Lopez brothers were added to the Hype House was due to their ability to stay on top of TikTok trends at the time. They had a primarily female audience, according to most people, and primarily young females, which is very important to the story. Something I feel the need to mention is that Charli and Dixie D'Amelio at the time received a lot of backlash for their TikTok following because they got it through dancing. Whereas Tony Lopez received no criticism despite doing the exact same thing Charli and Dixie were doing, and having less followers. The reason for this, and as stupid as I'm about to sound, is due to the simp culture that was back in 2020 and 2021. Stay with me here, because if you weren't on TikTok during the time, you probably don't know what the simp culture was like back then, but we would see things like school unalivers and serial assaulters who would get TikTok edits of them just because they were hot men. The primary demographic that was making these edits were just young females. I know a lot of people find it weird that young girls are making edits of serial unalivers at the time and school assaulters, but keep in mind this was just the culture of TikTok at the time for young females. And a lot of this, believe it or not, is the reason Tony Lopez was able to get away with his alleged crimes. Conventionally attractive male creators just didn't get the same type of criticism other creators would just because they were hot. Someone who used to see videos like this pop up on my For You page, a lot of people would justify their actions saying that they were too hot to go to prison and that they were too pretty to commit these crimes. Which, side note, I need to tell you, that is a level of delusion that couldn't even be caused by a JoJo stan. How attractive you are does not change the fact that you probably committed a terrible crime. But that is a sentiment a lot of girls held at the time during 2021 when this whole situation took place. Now back in 2021, you may remember the names Gemini Official and Tony Lopez going around on your For You page. And as you've probably guessed from the title of this video, they were caught talking to younger fans. Gemini Official was punished for the allegations against him, but Tony Lopez never really was. This is because at the time, Gemini Official did upload an official apology video to his page, which ended up probably getting it banned or him deleting it himself. I'm not too sure on that entire situation. I'd have to do more research on it. But Tony Lopez, after all the allegations, still has his page up today. Around the time of 2021, a lot of people were leaving the Hype House, most notably Charli D'Amelio and Dixie D'Amelio, who also ended up unfollowing both of the Lopez brothers on their social medias. If somebody with over 100 million followers feels the need to unfollow you on social media, it's probably for a very good reason. And that reason would come in the form of DMs that were screen recorded of Tony Lopez talking to alleged minors. The clips of the screenshots that I'm going to use came from Underflow's video on the situation because it was really hard to find these surfacing on TikTok and really hard to find them on Google. Hey, this is West After Editing, and I'd like to clarify that the minors involved in these stories are ages 14 to 15. If you look into this yourself, you might be able to find someone as old as 17, but keep in mind all these ages correlate with being a minor. Even if I give Tony the benefit of the doubt and say that a girl was 17 during this situation, the age of consent in California where the Hype House is located is 18, so he's still committing a crime if any of this is true. I'd also like you to keep in mind California has no Romeo and Juliet laws, which means regardless of how we look at this is still a crime. These DMs are screen recorded, which means more likely than not, they were not faked. The only person I saw who had the DMs available was Underflow, so I got this from his channel. I'll summarize what the DMs say at the end, but pause to read if you truly want to see it all. The DMs will be up for about a minute, so just skip past that if you don't want to see it. So basically, in these DMs, Tony Lopez is telling the girls that he likes them young. Also in these DMs, you can see towards the end he says, and I quote, sloppy and deep. These are towards a 15-year-old girl. There was a court case filed against Tony Lopez, but it was basically laughed out of court for some reason. So one of the possible victims of this case was never taken seriously, so it never made it to court and justice was never served. I do believe there was a lawsuit filed by the parents and the girl, but it was never taken seriously in court, so it never ended up going anywhere, so they're still technically not guilty. But do you remember how I said Andre Lopez becomes important to this story earlier on in the video? That's because he was caught doing a lot of the same things Tony was. In fact, when this whole situation came to the boiling point, Andre went silent on all social medias, probably trying to clear his name and distance himself from his brother. What I'm about to show you is a recording from another YouTube channel that actually has a recording of Andre Lopez talking to the mother of a 15-year-old he allegedly had relations with.
She's 14. And you are how old?
23.
Yeah. You know what can happen to you?
I do.
You can end up in jail.
Thankfully, this clip was saved by a creator named Anna Oop, but Andre clearly admits that he could have gone to jail had any of this publicly gotten out, and it did get out publicly, and nothing has happened to either of them as far as I'm aware of. I went to Andre's page and they still have videos up from just a couple of months ago, and they're filming with other TikTokers too. I'm gonna show you Tony Lopez's apology to the entire situation. Keep in mind, this was live streamed, and also, it was saved by Underflow.
Understand how shitty I'd feel. I have to understand this and learn from it, grow from it. I'm not gonna hide and run away and act like shit's not going on, but I know it was wrong. And I'm just gonna hold myself accountable and responsible for some past immature decisions. I gotta keep moving forward and learning and growing. You know, some people don't teach you about how to live this lifestyle or how to be here in this position, but I'm learning and I'm growing, and I'm not going to excuse my past actions.
You're probably wondering how with an apology like that he actually ended up to get off the hook. Well, there's one reason I can think of. By making your apology a live stream rather than an actual video, no one can ever go back to that apology. Which means anyone who didn't hear about the situation or anyone who's just getting into the situation isn't going to be able to have a direct link to what you did. Only your live viewers are going to be able to see that and unfollow and judge you. Effectively, it allows you to do crowd control while also making sure your newer fans don't find out anything about what you did. TikTok and Instagram lives do not get saved, they get screen recorded. If no one screen recorded this, it would have just left with the wind. So to anyone who didn't see it initially, it was basically like he gave his apology video, but didn't give his apology video since it's not publicly on his page, which is one of the best things you can do in controversy. By not giving an official apology, it doesn't make you look like you're sorry for anything, so people will just eventually move on. The internet moved on from him, but not from Gemini, because Gemini had an actual apology video. His page had a reason to be banned. Tony did this on Instagram, away from TikTok, and faced no penalties for any of his actions. As far as I've been able to search, Andre has not even given his apology statement at all, just that one video clip. Which is a reason they still have a collective 40 million viewers, because Tony has 23 million and Andre has 20 million. That is 40 million people, assuming that they have different followings, and for both of them, it's young females. I remember when all this was coming out and I left a comment on one of Tony Lopez's videos from an old account, and one of his fangirls replied to me, literally justifying his actions with his looks. This is a part of that simp culture I was talking about. That girl knew all the crimes Tony committed, even being around the age that Tony was attracted to allegedly, and still decided to defend Tony Lopez, despite the fact Tony Lopez was not a great person from everything that we've seen. In the creator space, if you have an allegation against you, the best thing you can do is to never respond to it. And we're seeing it current day with Cody Ko. Cody Ko still hasn't given his full response. He can just wait about a year and return to YouTube and everyone would probably forget about what happened because he hasn't released an apology. And if he does do it, he's not going to release it to the public, he's going to release it to his Patreons. This is why during Colleen Bollinger's situation, her lawyers advised her to not speak, because not speaking gives you more leverage in the end, because no one will remember, everyone will forget. By making his apology live streamed, it wouldn't be saved unless anyone recorded it. Therefore, it's effectively like some people forgot. And if you think the general internet forgot about it as a whole, well, believe me, they didn't. Tony just started censoring his comments, allegedly. On screen, you're gonna see a like to comment ratio that just doesn't make sense for a creator of that size. Only getting less than 1,000 comments, but getting hundreds of thousands of likes makes no sense. Even the smallest channels have 1,000 comments, even if their video only has like, I don't know, 60,000 likes. It just doesn't make sense for a creator like Tony Lopez to have this low comment count. I'd have to assume he has it set to followers only. But anyway, that's all I have for you in today's video. If you like this video or any type of commentary content, please give me a subscribe or like the video. And also be sure to comment what you thought about this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.